Welcome to the DragonShip. Here we go.
Masculinity is in crisis. What are we to do? We need to acquire a dominant masculine presence. Now available on Amazon. Masculinity is in crisis. Men's masculine behaviors and traits have been suppressed by popular culture. Why has it become so popular to shame, guilt, insult, masculinity, and masculine behaviors? After 50 to 70 years of this has resulted in a very large subset of men who have become weak, useless, and crisis. Pathetic state for boys and men that leads to depression and violent despair. A dominant masculine presence addresses this very dilemma for the individual man, and it firmly establishes why this is what is desperately needed by the individual man today. In this book, clearly defined masculine traits and behaviors and the emotional durability provided by traditional masculinity are presented as a guide to what every man should embed into his identity. Putting these principles and behaviors into practice will motivate and direct your path step to step to create for yourself an authentic, dominant masculine presence. RP Thor here. I'm the author of A Dominant Masculine Presence, the definitive read for every man on masculinity. My experience from 5 decades of an incredibly full life, countless lectures, webinars, seminars, keynote addresses at speaking engagements has brought me to the point where I am pleased to announce price reduction. And all video lectures and slide packages, over 9 hours of lectures, slide packages, resource lists are now available to you on redpillthor.gumroad.com. And of course, my website, becomedurable.com. All video lectures have been reduced by 60% of their original price. That's right. I'm offering you all of these video lectures that are professionally produced and have been quite popular for some time now, starting with the Mastery of Oneself lecture series, parts 1 through 5. Part 1, creating a dominant masculine presence. Part 2, emotional durability. Part 3, testosterone, TRT, why every man should care. The myths, the facts, including full HRT and peptides that are available for optimal performance as a man. Part 4, principles of long-term relationship success. And of course, Part 5, the cure to a sexless relationship. Dread game skills for the best sex ever. Maybe you're interested in a skilled trade. Look no further than to order my video instructional on how to become a power alignment and where to start and where to begin and what schools to take, what certifications to get to even begin considering entering an exciting trade like becoming a power alignment. How about the original video lecture that started it all on my life-changing journey from 32 years ago when I was electrocuted by 12,000 volts? You know, I had to relearn things. It was a life-changing journey for sure on my struggle on how to become durable, and I can teach you how to become durable with one of my best lectures on dealing with injury, stress, and trauma to reemerge even stronger than you were before. Finally available is this Game 9000. That's right. This is the video seminar series that was done almost 2 years ago. This is the video webinar replay right here. 3 hours of conversation on alternative lifestyles, BDSM, threesome game, erotic dirty talk, and much more if you dare to explore it. All based on real life experience for adults only, of course. If you have found yourself lagging when it comes to living a fulfilled and exciting life, use the link below to order now at redpillthor.gumroad.com. Vikings raise the shield wall. Let me get my buddy's microphones up and running here. The Art of War. We got some veterans today to celebrate Veterans Day weekend. We're going to talk about war, strategies, the art, and the Gray Man Protocol. Guys, you might survive, so let's watch it. Okay? This should be good. Everybody needs to know the art of war. It's in dealing with work. What the hell is this Gray Man thing? We're going to find out. We're going to have some fun with this. of course, we're going to listen to Blood for Valhalla by Michael Dane, written for RP Thor. And we're going to usher in another episode of the DragonShip. Rising tide that lifts all boats. We have a special treat for you guys. We have a sound clip. I think you guys are going to really like it. Now watch your background noise, guys. Here we go. Here is an amazing sound clip from a very special person. Shout out to our member, Elena. Here you go.
Shame this horse.
What, Elena?
Shame this horse.
What, Elena?
Shame this horse.
No, we don't do that
Shame
here.
this horse.
Absolutely not. We don't do anything like that. We love those 304s. Are you kidding me? Come on, girl. That's not going to happen. Skull, you savages. What are you guys up to? Here we are on the DragonShip. We have a full house today. We're broadcasting on all channels. Guys, panel members, as you come in, it looks like StreamYard's changed a little bit. You're going to have to hit the stream to my channel if you don't see it up in the red already. Wraith, I see you're broadcasting live. Welcome, my friend. Wraith Detour. It looks like AJ, our Viking detailer from Texas, is here. And then, of course, we have Nuclear Caudil. And we have our newest Drakkar. The Presidente is wearing his cut. The Master at Arms is wearing his cut. Paul, you're going to need a cut.
I got a cut. I just need the patches.
Oh, we're going to talk. We're going to have to talk, man.
You need a cut or you're going to get cut.
Yeah, exactly. Blood in, blood out, brother. And the Drakkars are ready to go. We love you, man. We're so glad that you guys are here. Paul, Nuke, and Mike Steele, AJ. Guys, and of course, Ray. First thing that I want to do, we're going to be talking about the 33 strategies of war, the art of war, and the Gray Man Protocol. And no, that's not specifically about Wraith, but he'll know about it. Guys, I want to give my full salute to those that serve. And the military guys that are here, I appreciate you. What a great Veterans Day weekend. Shout out to everybody. I really appreciate that. So I want to shout out to Siege D in the chat. Danny Arnold, my Viking brother, right there. One of our fellow Drakkars. And, of course, we've got Elena's Bar. Elena, thank you so much for this wonderful sound drop. Of course, I will never do this, but your voice is so soothing. I must drop the sound again.
Shame this horse.
It tickles my heart, and I know Paul is and Glenn are dying to have that sound drop. With your permission in the chat, can I share the sound drop with them, Elena? She's one of our dear members in the subscriptions. And everybody, remember, you can subscribe for a minimal cost, and you can see a lot of private videos that Glenn and I released on the Trident and several others. If you guys haven't seen the Trident, it is more of an adult version of hardcore red pill tools in practice with the Trident speaking the Drakars from the Trident. It's something different. One of these days, Glenn, we got to do the Trident again, of course, you know.
Yeah, when Paul gets a cut.
When Paul gets a cut, he might want to join the Trident.
We can't even talk Trident to him until he has a cut.
Okay, well let's have that discussion because I think we're gonna have to blood in, blood out Paul.
Yeah, and okay, hold on. I need to just talk some shit to somebody in the chat.
All right.
Travis Rivera, don't make me embarrass you.
I see what's going on here. Nuke and Paul, what's with the squids?
Yeah, Travis is right. He knows what's up.
Is it the jarheads or the squids?
Here's the funny thing.
The Navy's Air Force is bigger than the Air Force's Air Force.
Have you guys seen the hats that the Air Force guys wear? What do they call it? The darts and farts?
Here's the thing.
Cap.
The chair force.
Here's the thing. As a guy that was in the Air Force and actually had a tactical job, I didn't sit around and play Battleship and play grab ass on a boat for 7 months, floating in the ocean, listening to the village people. I actually did real work. Okay. All right. Now to the nuke guys in the Navy,
grab ass.
I salute you.
Play with nuclear reactors.
To the nukes, I salute you. But you know, to those seamen floating around swabbing dicks, you know, I have no respect.
Wait. Let's have some respect for R. Lee Ermey. Guys, remember him?
Yeah.
Full Metal Jacket.
Pieces of amphibian shit.
Yeah. He was a Marine, which is part of the Department of the Navy. So
it is, isn't it? They don't have medics, they have corpsmen, don't they?
Yeah, Navy corpsmen.
It's Navy, right?
Navy corpsmen. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty interesting.
Who said that?
Huh?
Who the fuck said that? Who's the slimy little communist shit twinkle-toed cocksucker down here who just signed his own death warrant?
But you know what? I gotta
the Air Force, I would expect.
I have more respect for the Navy than I do the Coast Guard, though. So at least you're not a puddle pirate.
Right? Until he's on a sinking crab boat, then that changes.
Oh man, Travis.
No one respects the Coast Guard.
Corpsman. That's the pecker checkers, guys.
Yeah. No, Travis liked a lot of dick, and he liked a lot of dick in high school too. Like I know him because we went to high school together.
All right, guys. I have to give the honor to Paul CW. Thank you so much. These channels are broadcast to all of us. Please subscribe to everybody here. We have our newest Drakar, Mike Steele. We're going to get to in a minute, but everybody here, Nuke is monetized, Glenn's monetized, me, Paul. Thank you for this. I'm not sure who it went to, but this is really important for us to keep this content going. Every man here is a Drakar. That means they can pull on the oar or they can get up and steer the rudder. We just had Nuke steer the rudder, and it's expected that every Drakar will do that. Thank you so much. That's what's important about the DragonShip. We are that rising tide that lifts all ships. Thank you, CW. Great Rule Zero episode. Yeah, look at here. You got 3 members of Rule Zero on the DragonShip. This is why you guys are awesome. Join Beer Club to get to know like-minded guys and to find your purpose. Speaking of the Beer Club, do I have a promotion on the Beer Club in here?
I can grab a link for you.
Do you have one?
Yeah.
The Beer Club's fun. I was part of Beer Club this last week.
Yeah, and Paul, if we need to, we can expand the members too, the amount of members at one time. Just talk to me. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, I want to give like another thing about Travis. Me and Travis dated sisters. Like we dated 2 of the same sisters.
TMI, dude. TMI.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does that make you guys brothers then?
You know, we were actually
brothers.
Here's the funny thing. We were brothers-in-law.
Cousins.
We were brothers-in-law at one point. That's how my ex-wife and Travis's ex-girlfriend or fiance, they were sisters. So we know each other pretty well. Like, but he's still a faggot.
You can say that. We're past the 8-minute mark.
Exactly.
And there goes
So I
the
do-
monetization.
Now, AJ, you're in the military too, right?
Yes, submarine reactor operator.
You're another squid. All right. Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, I got rejected because I had childhood asthma back in 1980. They told me all the services that I had childhood asthma, and that was not exactly what they wanted. So
Actually, I had the same problem because I was originally going to go into the chair force, and I went down to MEPS, and they give you the scare tactic of, hey, if you lie to us, it's a $10,000 fine and 10 years in prison, and
Yeah.
the government knows everything. I better come clean. And I was like, yeah, I was diagnosed with asthma as a kid. They sent me home. They wouldn't give me a waiver. And then my friends were all joining the Navy. And so my friends talked to the Navy recruiter, and he goes, shit, we've put in known crack addicts. Let me talk to him. And so
put in crack addicts.
So the Navy recruiter, he talked to me about it. He's like, well, is asthma a problem for you? I was like, no. He goes, okay, well, we'll get you a waiver. He took me down. We did some tests. They got me a waiver, and the rest is history. I ended up in the Navy instead.
Yeah, the threshold to get in the Air Force is a lot higher than it is to get, than the Navy. I mean, shit, they're just like crackheads come in there.
Oh.
The Air Force has got 1 point higher ASVAB minimum, so instead of a 35, you need a 36. So they brag about that shit.
You're damn right. We have a higher ASVAB, have a higher threshold.
That's because it's more like a 9-to-5 job. Y'all have air conditioning, and you guys have like
you know what? I
stationary bikes for your PRT, and so everyone just wants that because it's the lazy one. It's like
golf clubs. They get out.
I can say I served in the military if I joined this, but it's really just
I lived
fucking
in
Club
Ranger
Med.
panties, and when I got out of the Air Force, you know what they did? They hired me to train the Navy to keep their fat asses in shape.
We have a lot of fat asses in the Navy.
All right.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's the nukes, man. We get fat. We can't help it.
So I did have asthma. He asked me about, yes, guys, I'll share a secret information. I don't like to disclose this, but I was born at 7 months. I spent the better part of 11 months in an incubator. So my lungs were slightly underdeveloped as a child. You'd never know today because I outgrew it. For whatever reason, that was a little bit of a tough part of the childhood up to about 10. And then it worked. So, just because I was born premature like that and spent so much time, I weighed 4 pounds. So
I thought gods amongst men don't take 9 months to come out to feel human. So that's why I thought you got out early.
Yeah, I was a little claustrophobic, had to come out. But, speaking of that, I wanted to go into the Air Force because my father, when I was born, was an Air Force officer. And he, just to make things interesting, right before I was born, he was locked in the hold. You guys know what the hole is, right? He was in the missile silo, and he was locked in the hole with the keys in for the missile crisis. Yes,
he was in a map.
He had the key. He had the keys in for the Cuban Missile Crisis. They were pretty worried. So imagine being that officer, getting locked in the hole, and you get the order to slip the keys in.
At some point, you know what? We got to all the vets need to throw up their change your avatar to your veteran picture, your enlistment basic training photo. That photo you took right before you graduated.
Oh God, I was such a baby face, man.
I look like a psycho in mine.
Dude, my stuff never got shipped to me, so I never had that.
Did you guys see the picture I posted on social media today? Though it was a picture of my fake ID that I got when I was in Hawaii back when I was in the Navy. There's a baby face picture for you.
So, guys, I want to hear from Wraith too. Wraith, am I wrong, or you're a veteran, aren't you?
I'm retired, but
you retired as military man.
Yeah.
Let's hear Wraith.
I was in the Air Force.
Nice. Entire career in the Air Force. That's pretty special, man.
22.5 years old. Retired.
Wow. Well, congratulations, man. Thank you. Oh, you were behind the desk the whole time?
No, I did not.
Hey, I did know some Air Force guys that were PJs. That's no fucking joke. They're tier, I guess they're tier 2 or tier 1 special forces.
Right.
So, I mean, they get dispatched.
Every branch has a special force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just the Navy's, they swap dicks.
Decks, yeah.
But being in the military, kind of like the segue into the conversation here.
Right.
Being in the military, you have to have this military mind, and I think like when I read like 33, the 33 strategies, right? It's almost like second nature as a veteran reading this, because it's kind of like, yeah, you're trained for this, you're built for this. In this concept, when you're talking about war, I love like Mad Dog Maddox. Some of the quotes that he says, like be polite to everybody, but have a plan to kill everyone you meet, or something like that. And it's just like it's kind of like when you read, like I can see if a guy read this that has not served, they would be kind of like taken back and be like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. This sounds really,
that doesn't sound very nice.
Yeah. But then like from a military perspective, I read this, I'm like, hell yeah, this is the way to go. So like, what would you guys say about like the 33 strategies by Robert Greenleaf? Like, do you think it's easier for certain men like that are veterans or prior service or active to be able to understand this concept that he's talking about here in this book than guys that never served?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it sort of depends on our upbringing, right? Because I was raised. My dad was in the military. I was sort of raised in a conservative household. I was sort of raised with the idea of you have an inherent right to self-defense, which is more of a sort of a military type posture. Whereas the liberal mindset is passivity and turn the other cheek and all that kind of stuff. And so I went into the military already with that kind of mindset that no, don't fuck with me, or I'm going to have to do something about it, So I think guys that haven't served yet but want to serve, like probably a lot of those guys already have that mentality, unless the reason why they want to serve is because they saw one of the recruiting ads from like the Biden administration about how my parents are are lesbians and it's all about inclusivity and shit, and then they're like, oh, it's all fucking warm and fuzzies instead of the fucking deadly military force it needs to be. They might not have that mentality.
Yeah, when I saw the tranny Navy ad, that I was just like, okay, Russia, just take it easy on us.
Have you noticed though that
fire them nukes when ready, Putin? Fire nukes when ready, Putin.
Have you noticed though that since
don't discount the 69th strategy of war?
What's the 69th strategy?
Yeah, we only got 33
trannies.
Oh, yeah. Have you guys noticed though that since tension has been escalating in the Middle East again, that now all of a sudden the recruiting ads are showing guys doing cool shit and jumping out of airplanes and stuff. And, like, they're trying to recruit men again, not trannies.
That one
was all saw what was it? Russia's fighting Ukraine. You saw the Ukrainian spokesperson that was a trans. You guys all seen that, right?
No,
I haven't seen it. No,
shit.
I haven't seen that.
Ukrainian has an American Ukrainian trans woman. They used to be a man. Is their spokesperson.
Ex-military.
Yes.
Ex-military too, Wraith?
Yes. It's hilarious. I didn't realize we were going to go there. I could have queued it up. Purple hair and everything.
I'd rather keep
it makes Russia look so much worse. Like, you guys can't even beat a bunch of trannies.
Transformers. They're transformers, robots in disguise.
Males in disguise.
I have a story for you guys. I have a story for you guys about that when they first implemented transsexuals in the Navy and how that went when I was coming up through the ranks. Man, it was an interesting time in the military. All right, so we were in a shipyard. That's when the ship docks into a harbor out in like a shipyard. Biggest one, I think it's Portsmouth in Virginia. And we were there and we were just simply like just doing a lot of work. I was still qualifying reactor operator. So, I was not that important in my division yet, but I was still qualifying. And the letter came out. This is when Mad Dog Mattis was the Secretary of Defense. And basically they were gonna allow transsexuals to join the military. And there's a lot of questions that come with that, right? Because it's really easy. It's like luxury beliefs. It's really easy as a civilian to be like, yeah, we should let them in the military. But like, where do they sleep? Where do they shower? Where, last name changes, the admin you need to take if you're going to change your name, because a lot of transsexuals change their name and stuff like that. So we were sitting in this little trailer on top of the flight deck of an aircraft carrier, the most powerful weapon ever made, basically. And we're just there talking, and I'm just in the corner, you know. I'm a nub, you know. I'm not qualified much, but I'm just listening. And then, you know, the division leading or the reactor officer or assistant reactor officer, which is the second in command of reactor department, he's there reading this letter, and he's like so uneasy. He feels like, you know, he's got things to do, but he's reading this letter in front of like 60, 70, 80 people. And he's saying that, like, these are the conditions. This is what's going to happen. And the people that protested and were angriest were the female leadership. They hated the fact that transsexuals were coming in. They were just like, because us, we're just like, we just want to go home. We just want to do our job and go home. We're tired. But the female leadership, the chiefs, the officers were like, what the hell? Where are they going to like shower? Where are they going to? And it creates so many problems. But the biggest problem for us guys was that you get one elective surgery in the military, right? And that elective surgery for transsexuals is going to be the sex change, right? So now we're using tax dollars to pay for people to change their gender, right? And what's worse, other than the tax dollars thing, was that you get a guy on the ship, right? Each ship has a number that they request from, I think, Washington, D.C. or Department of the Navy. We need this amount of people to fill slots, right? And if you go leave because you need surgery, that doesn't tell the people who have to fill up these ships, hey, we're missing one. Can you replace us? No, that number is set in stone, even if you're off getting surgery. Problem is, when you do a gender swap, you're out for a long time. Like getting a vagina, it takes a long time to heal and all the hormones and all that stuff, and you can't work that time. So you're down a person, you're down two people, and now you got to fill that spot. You're working more, standing more watch, up later because someone decided they wanted to be a woman. And man, did that. And then I think about 3 months later, Mad Dog Mattis wrote another letter saying, you know what? Never mind. And then he pulled back. I don't know what it is now, but that's the story.
Well, it's what's funny is like it's kind of, I remember, so I have a friend that's a Navy chief, a retired Navy chief. AJ knows him. They know each other pretty well. His name is Dustin Spicer, and he was part of the Alabama crew. And I think that was like this is a sub, right? That like
Bama was a sub.
Yeah, and they didn't bring women on subs until like recently, and they were having the same problem.
Yeah, like
when they just even think about bringing women on subs, they're like,
it's
yo, where these bitches are gonna sleep?
Yeah, because they started bringing women on the, I want to say it's the Maine and the Ohio were the first two on the West Coast in 2012, 2013, right when I was going on HUMED orders before I got out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and I remember that like he was coming home, like, and you know, we were going to the gym and we're running together and stuff like that. And he was like, bro, this is getting ridiculous. Like, where are we gonna put these bitches? You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like you are in a very small thing, you know. It just, man, it doesn't make sense. Oh, this is horrible.
Wait.
Yeah.
Question for AJ and Glenn. Wasn't there a story where a girl officer was put on a submarine? So she was like the first one and she ended up banging half the crew. Is that true?
Yeah.
There's stuff like that. When I wrote
it is true, isn't it?
Yeah. So
it was an officer, wasn't it?
I think it's
female
the story
officer,
that I know of. The story I know of is so USS Nebraska, they had female midshipmen on board. So midshipmen are the college students go to the Navy Academy. And I actually knew who the COB was, which is chief of the boat. For the non-Navy guys, it's like the CMC, Command Master Chief, or the Command Master Sergeant of the ship. He was my assistant navigator on the Seawolf. He ends up knocking up one of the midshipmen, gets kicked out of the Navy. She loses her entire potential commission. He's now the manager of the K Jewelers at the Kitsap Mall in Silverdale, Washington.
And I know who exactly you're talking about because I've been there. I've been to that mall. It's the shittiest mall in Washington.
So, guys, I want to get us back on track. It's really unfortunate, the whole trans thing. I feel, well, actually, it seems to me
it's hilarious. It's more funny than it is unfortunate. I'll say that.
But for some of these people, it is propaganda and political fueled hell that's feeding their mental illness. I mean, it's not a good thing, really. I mean, here's one of the memes that's out there right now, you know. There you go. Now, you can't tell me that's not being fueled by propaganda and political correctness and Marxism. It's just one of those terrible, terrible things, that people will suffer permanently for this. There is no going back. Of course, there's a lot of things in life. There's no going back. That's for sure. But aside from that, let's celebrate our new Drakkar. Mike Steele, we need you to tell us something about yourself, where you're at, where you're from, how you got in this space, and welcome aboard. It's a DragonShip, sir. We'll be pulling on all oars.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a privilege and an honor. I guess I kind of got here haphazardly through Donovan Sharp. I started to become friends with him in 2020. And then I assisted him with his first CME here in Las Vegas in 2021. And through Donovan, I just ended up making contact with more and more men. Rolo, Glenn, Thor, John MLD, Wraith from MLD's Masculine Empowerment Network, and then Paul through Glenn Lawrence. And so it just keeps growing and spreading. And I'm just grateful to have guys such as you, in my phone, so to speak. And I'm very grateful today for the invitation.
Well, you bet. Thank you. Speaking of women in the military and the subject matter today, you guys realize that one of our wonderful subscribers has shared the story of Sun Tzu. And he did much more than this.
Shame this horse.
No.
I know him.
We're gonna have that.
So he's
would you like to read it?
Yes. The women would not obey the drill instructors, and so Sun Tzu had his 2 concubines killed. After that, the women didn't laugh, and they
obeyed. You missed that.
Obeyed.
He did.
Obeyed.
Yeah.
So this is.
I said I'm not effing around here.
This is this fine gentleman right here is Mr. Dan Geelock. He is an elder in the church that I grew up in, and I'm very good friends with him and his son. I sent him the link earlier today. Happy that you're here, Dan. Sorry for all the cussing.
Yep, and you'll have to forgive us pagans at the helm, but you don't have to forgive us, but maybe you could try converting us. But we appreciate you very much, Dan. Welcome to the DragonShip.
I'm not going to apologize for cussing because I was a sailor. That's what we do.
Well,
Happy Veterans Day.
I understand that somewhere with Jonah and the whale, there was an exception in the Bible, Glenn.
Yeah, he said, "Oh shit, this bitch."
Damn, I got. So, guys, I'm going to get right into this. Then there are some serious lessons to be had from war. Let's lay out what war is, guys. War is unforgiving. You've heard the term "all's fair in love and war." Well, there are no rules really. As far as war is, it's absolutely brutal. It's designed to kill people and destroy things. And when it's people, it's livestock, it is the environment. It is amazing. You guys want to just taste the iceberg? Watch the movie that was made based on the epic novel Quiet on the Western Front. Those old men were sending the young men who didn't know each other to a meat grinder of hatred that they didn't even know why they were fighting. And it was just kill, 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 kill. Unfortunately, we're really in a similar situation in Eastern Europe today. We're back to trench warfare. We're back to trench warfare because the drones are so good and the anti-aircraft is so good. Tanks are a death trap. We're basically have infantry and drones and artillery, which with the drones, the artillery is much more effective. So they have dug trenches all over Ukraine now. We are back more than 100 years. And that is a death trap, and it's savage. It bleeds money. It bleeds men. Elena knows about this, being raised in Russia, where they kill all of their men in wars, and there's not much men left. It is a dystopian civilization. So we know what war is, but knowing the strategies of war and the art of war, you can do what actually is probably the best strategy I've ever heard, which is to secure the peace, you must prepare for war. And this is part of human nature. So we're going to talk about war. We're going to talk about strategies and how you might use them in your own life, your own career, against yourself, because who here is not their own worst enemy, which a lot of this is about. And a lot of war and winning wars is discipline and understanding how the real world works and not fighting in the past or dealing with past issues. So I know I kind of went a roundabout way there, but we'll go ahead and add to the stage the chapters that are from the strategies, the 33 Strategies of War by the same man that wrote the 48 Laws of Power, which they're both really interesting books. I have been sitting here. I actually haven't read this one in years, but I remember some of this really applying to how I operated at work, which I really, really appreciated. And that, and the fact that I also have The Art of War, which is Sun Tzu, which is a little more tactical and practical in some ways. This is a much higher level thinking type of book, I would say. Now, yeah, you guys are all familiar with these books?
Yes.
So would you say this is a little bit more on a strategic upper side, wide view type stuff? And some of this is actually about the battle within yourself, conquering that. And then The Art of War, very tactical and strategic in many ways, where they actually talk about the ground you choose to fight on. I mean, that's pretty tactical, really. So,
oh, yeah.
And there's some pretty amazing things in there. And there's lessons about his leadership that's brutal. Fits right in with what I would consider a book that I'd like to discuss in the future on the DragonShip, which is The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. A seminal work in human nature and power. Any comments on that before we get into this thing?
Nuke, correct me if I'm wrong. I think one of my favorite quotes from Sun Tzu in The Art of War is never interrupt your enemy while they're making a mistake. Is that correct?
Oh man, that's how you troll people on the internet, right? That's how you get people to lose, not because you debates, no one cares about convincing the other person. What you care about is making them look dumb, making them look like they weren't prepared for the debate. They weren't prepared. Right. So the best way to do it is just let them talk. Let people talk themselves in a hole, and then step back. And then once they're clawing out, you got them. You know, that's when you do the post on Twitter, and they're done. They're done. You get 100 followers, which is what's happening right now. Every time I do a troll post, I get like 50 followers and more people for my channel, because simply I just insert exactly what I need to say to get them to start blabbing off and saying dumb stuff, sometimes racist stuff, sometimes sexist stuff, and then everyone gets in a tizzy, and then I just say, you are incongruent, you lost this battle, not because my ideas were better than yours, it's because simply you're not congruent. And that's how you win a debate, guys, or anything in life. You know, you have to prove to the other person that you're more prepared than they are, and the best way to do that is just to let them make the mistake. Just step back and be like, let them defeat themselves.
Nuke, that's fantastic. Put a pin in that, bookmark it, because when we circle back at the end, I want to talk about the Gray Man Protocol that fits in very, very well with the Gray Man Protocol. Guys, we got some super chats, and since today is Elena's day, she's one of our members, we're going to go ahead and celebrate Danny Arnold with
Shame this horse.
We don't do that on the DragonShip. We just like to know. We just like to hear.
Shame this horse.
Okay. Danny Arnold, be courteous, be cordial, be polite, but have a plan to kill everyone in the room. General James Norman, Mad Dog Matthias, U.S. Marine Corps, retired. Excellent. And Siege D, we love you, brother. We got another one. And of course, we're going to give you the sweetest sound drop we've ever had.
Shame this horse.
That's right. Siege D, $4.99. Thank you, sir. Was in the AFJROTC in high school. Was going to join the Navy, but had a hernia. What are you doing with a hernia, kid? Get that shit fixed. It didn't bother me. It bothered them. Still, a lot from the JAROTC. I forgot what the ROT stands for. Glenn, do you guys remember? That's a program that helps.
Junior ROTC is basically like it's like basic
Reserve Officers Training Corps.
Yeah, it teaches about command structure, so you'd be ready.
It's basically like military for high schoolers.
Yeah, you'd be prepped to go into the military, right?
Yeah.
Well, so they have ROTC in college, and then the JROTC is in high school.
Yeah, JROTC is high schoolers. It's military for high school.
Interesting. In my area, they actually have, and believe it or not, it's pretty conservative, but there is a special high school within 100 miles of here, I will say. And kids get elected if they have the grades, if they want to enter military service, law enforcement, or fire service, or state service, which is really interesting because they go through high school and then there's some options for training afterwards that most people don't get, but they have to do certain things to qualify by merit to get into this high school. Anyway, I guess I don't know if that's common, but it's interesting. It's not military school, but it is a school set aside for those folks that show the aptitude. And then I believe they are real supportive of the Explorer program. Do you guys ever hear of the Explorer program?
Yeah. Yep. The wannabe cops.
Yep. Or firemen, or a bunch of different stuff. Danny Arnold. Okay, we're doing it.
Shame this horse.
That's right, Danny Arnold.
Shame this horse.
Thank you, Elena. Danny Arnold, $9.99. Sic vis pacem parabellum. If you want peace, prepare for war. That's a famous saying. And yeah, it's absolutely true.
I think like when it comes to like strategies for war, one, your first war battlefield is internal.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because let's bring up, oh, where am I? Let's bring up the actual chapters here. I'm going to swap it over. There we go. And part 1 is self-directed warfare, Glenn. And in self-directed warfare, it's declare war on your enemies. This is the principle of polarity. You cannot fight effectively unless you can identify them. That's your enemies. You've often heard people say, hey, I need better enemies. Well, it's because they're having trouble identifying enemies that they can really get behind and create a strategy. Yeah, a PBD just came out with a book that says, pick your enemies wisely. This really does lend to that. But it is part of this chapter that I pulled from this is it's really about the enemy of your own mind. This one's notice it says self-directed warfare. A lot of this is going to overcome parts of you that are very, very hesitant to do what is required. Jocko Willnick's excellent at this. He has his standard directive series, and he talks a lot about this stuff that, if I was to boil it down, he's a big believer in discipline equals freedom. And I believe this part actually kind of lightly addresses this as a strategy. Do not fight the last war, guerrilla war of the mind. It talks about all those sort of things. Don't lose your presence of mind. We can they talk about emotions, why emotions can interfere with your strategies because you get passionate. Anybody ever hear you're in your feelings, dude? Have one of your best friends, hey, dude, you're in your feelings. Gotta quit that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because being in your feelings creates snappy judgments.
Clouds your judgment.
It does, actually.
Well, and it's also being in your feelings. You're in the middle of the internal war.
Right.
You're wrestling with what you're hearing or what you're seeing and what's being displayed and how and your reaction emotionally about it. All right. So guys that struggle with stoicism tend to allow the war to be exposed within them by the way they react, but how emotional how much emotion is charged into that reaction. And, okay, we were banging on Zerka earlier in Rule 0 about his fighting, but you could tell, like, I'm just using him as an example.
Sure. He
was not prepared for the war that he was involved in physically, right? Because there was hesitation. You can see he wasn't committed to it. It says, like right here, it says keys to warfare, stake everything on a single throw. You could tell by just his stance and the way that he delivered that punch, he didn't stake everything on that single throw.
Right.
He
sense of urgency. Sure.
Yeah. And part of it is like if you have to check your emotions first, because that's your first internal battle and how you're going to plan out the next steps. Like guys reacting on Twitter over the dumbest things sometimes is just like whoa, bro, you're battling your war publicly. Your internal war is public now.
Yeah,
like,
it's so easy
how
to tell.
unstable you are.
Yeah, every time you could tell exactly what they lack, what their weaknesses are. Men talk themselves like it's like the movies when the villain is saying everything he plans to do, and the hero's like, "Oh, well, now I know." Like that's how I went because you told me
don't
everything I need to
overshare.
know.
Yeah, and one of those things about when you're going to
narcissistic monologue,
escalating to violence or war. I mean, there is a strategy here that is the urgency of and desperation of putting yourself in death ground. No other option. The boats are burned. You're going to die, and that does change things for some people, for sure. You know, if you have that kind of desperation, obviously with Zerka, I believe part 2 here applies to what he did physically by staging that fight. And I do believe that it was at least contrived. He is not avoiding the snares of groupthink, because in order to stage and to at minimum contrive the incident for the purposes, commercial purposes, I would say, he was unprepared for that, and he fell into the snare of groupthink, which it seems to me a lot of those TikTokers definitely do fall into the groupthink. We can use our favorite Blue Hair for that. Definitely there's a groupthink component of it that translated directly from his Twitch streaming, you know. And
he does a lot of group things with men. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, 2 is about organizational warfare. That's really important. Have any of you guys heard of, you know, I mean, administrative warfare? You know, administrative discipline. I mean, you're using the system against somebody. This is what I really took away from this. You're really yes.
Well, I mean, that's what women do, right? You know, they're really good at administrative warfare.
Administrative violence.
Glenn knows all about that.
Oh yeah, you go through a divorce, and then guess what? They got that administrative warfare against you.
It's administrative violence being exercised against you. Right.
Dude, the whole entire WAC is a freaking nightmare to deal with when you're going through divorce up in Washington.
Oh, yeah. No,
I don't think that's exclusive, guys. Hey, Danny Arnold just hit us up again. My gosh, what an amazing man. You're gonna get it, buddy. $9.99, and Elena's gonna speak to you.
Shame this horse.
That's right. She's speaking to you, Danny. Skull, brother.
Shame this horse.
Never interrupt your enemy when they're about to make a mistake. Napoleon Bonaparte. Yeah, it's pretty fundamental, huh?
Which,
you know,
by
what's
the way,
interesting. I'm looking through the summary, right, and I'm not sure you're going to hit on this story yet, but it talks about organizational team warfare, right? And the key components is like, you know, you have to have like, you have to keep their bellies full when you're working with the team, right? You have to unite your troops around a cause, and in a way that we're all in this space, right?
That's the moral crusade. Super powerful.
Exactly. We have this superpower moral crusade, and it's like, you know, you got to keep their bellies full, or you're going to lose your troops. And I think a lot of it we're seeing with these guys, like, that are going out there and they're saying the most triggering thing, and people are like crowding around them because they're fiending for it. We have a bunch of soldiers in the space that have empty bellies, because the information that a lot of these guys are not providing them are just entertainment value and not real, you know, digestible, actionable information that they could take, right? So we have these guys chasing clout, and, you know, going from and fans going from one fan to the next fan to the next guy, you know, like the next, because they're not getting enough substance. So, and their team withers away because they're not keeping their bellies full. So like the Zerka, right? Love the guy, but he's going to phase out because he's not keeping his team's bellies full. He's not giving them actionable information to take, you know, to do better with women. He's just saying, Christ is king, and where's that Elena
entertainment? Yeah, it's all entertainment.
Well,
it's all sizzle, no steak. Is that
exactly? It's all sizzle, no steak.
He's on the.
You always have to create new sizzle, and that
exactly,
different.
And that'll burn you out. And
exactly.
you see this with any industry where it's all dopamine. You see this in video games. You see this in pornography. You see this in anything where they just have to keep upping the ante over and over again, and then it burns out the people who
good examples. Adam 22.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Adam,
like it's getting to
what could he do next?
Exactly.
What's the next?
So
the next thing is he's gonna have to take a dick.
This is
have sex on the moon or something. He has to be the first girl who cucks his wife on the moon or on a rocket ship somewhere.
So this is a huge human risk, and I want to get Ray's comment on this too, because this human risk has been around forever. This escalation situation, you can watch it. Just because the economy and the way our systems are set up, it doesn't matter whether it's a Marxist or it is capitalist. There is an element here that we crave more and more and more. I can point you to the simplest thing. Has anybody watched the television series Lost?
I've heard of it.
I never got it.
Never hear of it. Any television series that has gone on for 4 or 5 years.
Game of
Notice
Thrones.
that each season, Game of Thrones is a great example. We have to amp it up. They amp it up to the point of absolute insane ridiculousness that has lost you from the primary story, because what they've done is they've amped that sizzle up to the point of no return. There's nowhere to go. They never held anything back.
You can see this in pro wrestling. Honestly, I'm going to tie it into pro wrestling here, guys. In pro wrestling, you'll find, like, back in the 80s, what's his name? Jake the Snake Roberts. His finishing move was the DDT, right? Now everybody kicks out of the DDT. Now it's just a move. And so what ends up happening in the psychology of pro wrestling is when things that used to finish people off, people didn't kick out of them, and now everyone's kicking out of them. It loses its meaning. So now, in order to finish somebody, you got to drop someone out of a fucking helicopter to finish them, and it just becomes so unbelievable that you start losing your audience.
You can't even use the folding chair anymore. That's like
it's like
kindergarten.
Nothing. Yeah,
it's like Kanye West. Kanye West has to keep doing crazy things until eventually it's costing him a lot of time. Obviously, he's probably bipolar, but people who are entertainment, who provide dopamine to people, like their job is to entertain and to spike people's emotions and dopamine. They eventually come to this conundrum where they're just like, okay, I've let my fans see my wife had sex with another dude. What can I do next? Because they're bored. They these little coomers that watch my wife getting banged, they're bored. What do I do next? How about 5 guys? And then they're like, okay, how about 5 guys competing in a game show? And then eventually you're just like, I'm making money, but I'm capped off and I have to keep doing crazy things. And that's
it doesn't even have to be about money. It's like they can do it for
attention.
It's pretty bizarre.
Relevancy.
And that actually brings me, I wanted to get Ray's comment, because this is what actually concerns me. I don't pay too much attention to the news, but I'm very aware of the fact that as I was coming up, I had many mentors that fought wars: Korea, World War II, Vietnam. And I heard a little bit here and a little bit there. The man that saved my life when I got electrocuted, one of my best mentors, Jay Gallagher, picked me up, carried me out of that vault like a baby when I shredded myself at 12,000 volts. He spent 2 tours in Vietnam. He was with the 1st AmeriCal as a long-range recon patrol. That's 4 guys out there for weeks at an end against the enemy, reconning and calling in. And you can tell he killed people. He understood. And when he spoke, people listen. Unfortunately, he's in his 70s now. And here we are in America, and we've glorified and we beat the war drum, and we're letting other people die and be torn to shreds for these strange, unknown economic or banking reasons. And the people that actually have fought these wars and seen the horrors and what it actually does to people and what's on the other side, they're gone now. World War II guys are gone. Korean War guys are gone. The Vietnam War guys are dropping. We have some such guys that come out of Afghanistan and some operators there. They've seen, but it is still overwhelming that, when you look at this snares of groupthink and command and control, is, they're turning a moral crusade into war is the answer. And when you hear both sides of the political eye saying war is the answer, get ready for an anal reaming without any lube of the worst possible nature. What are your thoughts on all of this stuff, Wraith? I think that civilization is at risk when we don't have anybody that remember what actually war does and what it is. You're muted, Wraith.
Sorry about that. The reality of it is people they don't understand that the original intent of war wasn't to move political views; it was to gain land. Okay, and if you go all the way back to ancient times, they weren't trying to change the hearts and minds of people. They were trying to kill them all so they could have money.
Kill them and take their women. Yep.
Stuff. And the women that they didn't want, they sold
or killed. Right.
So it's our whole history of humanity has been, when we want something, we have to figure out a way to get it, and violence is one way to get it. When you come to modern wars, they're not fought for land; they're fought for ideas, and it's hard to get behind an idea unless it affects you and your life. And one of the reasons that men in the military today, when they go and fight these wars and they come back and they can't heal from it, is because there was no ideology behind the war. The ideology was, and I'm talking about, you're trying to take something from me. The last war that we had where something was being taken from us in reality was World War II. Now we had, if you go back to 9/11 and they bombed, the airplane flew into this and that, that was more fought on ideology than it was, the cost, the human cost. And it was, in everything we've done since then, like we're sitting in Ukraine right now. We have nothing to do with Ukraine. It has nothing to do with us. And I'm not talking about, Truman, when he came out of World War II, Truman's idea was to make the U.S. isolationist so that we don't have to worry about fighting other people's wars because of the cost that World War II had on us. And, we fought against them, politically. It wasn't popular. And now we go into these wars, we send young men and women into some place that has no value to us in reality, because we're trying to fight an ideology of another country that thinks that they can rule the world via the third party system. And we're trying to fight people's common core beliefs and change their opinion of us based on the violence against you. So we've lost the intent of what war is meant to do. War is meant to go in and conquer, take land, to kill. And now the military has become a political force, police force, not warriors. They're not warriors anymore, they're political policemen. Because a warrior goes in and a warrior has something to show for the battle. We don't have anything to show for the battle. So that's why it's harder for people to get behind it. And I think I personally don't celebrate Veterans Day. Not because I'm ashamed of what I did, but I'm appalled by people that rule us and the situations that they put us in. And like I said, I did 22 and a half years, and I wasn't a desk jockey. I worked in the field, worked on airplanes for a while, then I went into combat logistics, and I do the reinforcement supplies for special forces and stuff. So war isn't war anymore, and war's lost its ability to motivate.
Well, it could be really, really serious with the technology we had. It could come and visit and create utter civilization disaster. But I have you heard the term that we're in 5th generation warfare now? I would go ahead and point you guys all to the following screen on the 33 strategies, which is this right here. It is unconventional warfare. And that's what I think that's what they mean by 5th generation warfare. Like it is information warfare on the ideas. Yes, here we go. So you guys seeing what's going on here, right? So even more than guerrilla warfare. I mean, just listen to the titles here and you can go look up the stories, but this is what's happening in the culture war. Actually, there is a culture war. Do you guys realize that the woke mind virus is actually Marxism relabeled?
Yep.
100%. You can look at the manifestos. That's exactly what it is. It's an eternal struggle between these two camps. And really, if you read the manifesto, they're called what's useful idiots. They're the first that will be sent to the camps when power has been seized. They don't know it, and they won't know it until the very end. But you look at the conservative side that's fighting back, they don't really fight. They conserve, which is always a losing battle. There's something in between when people fight for their liberty that's much more impressive and seamless. But under the unconventional warfare, here's what you guys can learn from this. Here's what I've learned. Weave a seamless blend of fact and fiction to create a misperception. Guys, this actually can be used as a valid strategy in your career to extreme value. I'm not telling you to lie. I'm telling you to spin the hamster wheel so that it spins in a direction that benefits you. I won't say more than that without using examples. I'm saving that for a book. But let me tell you, that type of thought is very, very useful. And don't think that it's not being used against you 100% of the time by the banks, real estate, everybody that's involved in some way
don't care about you.
The administrative use of you as a citizen. Take the last line of expectation: ordinary, extraordinary, important. Occupy the moral high ground. Be righteous. Every single power person. Have you ever been stuck at the DMV? Every one of those employees thinks they are on the moral, righteous high ground because you didn't dot that I. Rules say you dotted the I. I don't care that you ran out of ink. I'm right. You're wrong. Fits right into sign language, indignity, and the fact that everybody needs to be right. If you can use that and enlist somebody's morals to think that they are right when actually that is not the case. Can you guys see what's happening now when you might have somebody called, I don't know, the anti-fascists that think they're right, starting fires and throwing bombs because they think they're that right and they're that righteous? You know that every side that fights a war thinks they're righteous and that God is on their side, right? So it's for the smart people to really decide how that's done, you know?
I mean, I think another component we're missing as to why we get into these wars, I think, and I don't want to be that guy, right? But I think neuroticism, right? Especially female neuroticism. I saw when the whole Ukraine thing was starting.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this is really far away. Why are, everyone's really interested in this. I thought these people were fighting since I was born. Like, great. I don't want anyone to die, but like, I don't want, especially my friends who are in the military, to go get deployed for 8 months for no reason. And I saw a woman, she was like, either she was like a pundit or like a college professor or something. And they were interviewing her and they said, we need to start sending people now to Ukraine. And I'm just like, you don't get it, ma'am. Like that's young men's lives. And when you have women in power that have influence and ideas about this stuff, they cannot fathom the amount. Even us guys who live comfortably right now in our living rooms, relaxing, we understand what violence means. We watch a World War II movie and we'll watch it beginning to end without blinking because we understand, holy crap, we understand it's within our genetics. A woman does not understand violence. That's why they hit men, that are 100, 200 pounds more than them, because they don't understand the realities of violence. When you have a woman that's been in a cozy classroom teaching about whatever BS topic, right? And she goes on Fox News or any large media and says, we need to send men to go fight this war that no one is even sure what we're doing there. It's like, wait a minute. Why isn't anyone stepping up and saying, ma'am, you don't understand war. You have never been even hit. Even a little boy that gets hit gets in a fight, gets punched in the face, says, oh, violence is serious, and they learn from that point on. But women, now they have positions of power. Now there's a vice president female, like they don't freaking understand.
You can't say that to them.
It's a huge risk because females don't understand the violence. And it boils to this. I'm going to share this super chat because this is really boils right down to a good friend of ours and of the channel is Alex Patino. He served in the U.S. Army 14 years, 19D Cavalry Scout, doing recon, very much like my good friend who rescued me. After Afghanistan, I realized we fought wars to enrich politicians and companies like KBR. I'm going to take it a step further. Women don't understand the application of violence, but they do so from afar and they're shielded from it. This is why leaders that are women do get us into wars. They create problems, and I count to several of these that cost us billions of dollars. And there's really no male counterparts that are like that aren't con men. These weren't con women. This was bad leadership. And I pointed that in my book, A Dominant Masculine Presence. It's important to understand that old men and women that know each other send young men to kill each other for their passions, the old people's passions, whatever they think is right. Their need to be right is so much so that you will be eviscerated and trailing your guts behind you to prove their point.
Yeah, and it's just, rule of thumb, because I got a jet, guys. I got to go meet up with Donovan. Rule of thumb is like, when I'm talking about like this war, I have the mentality of OPP. I am not getting involved in other people's problems. All right. I'll get involved in other people's pussies, but not other people's problems. Like there's a difference. And
that's a diplomatic solution, in my opinion, there.
But it's like, that's what we got to realize when we're seeing the things that are going on in Ukraine. I'm like, that has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with my nation's, investments. Like, it has nothing to do with us.
I mean, isn't that biblical though? I mean, if we wanted peace, we'd exchange some poon.
But Wraith was saying interesting earlier, like war has lost its meaning now. Guys would go to war and they would get something out of it. Like, I'm going to go to war and I'm going to pick up a few war brides, like there's no.
I'm gonna pillage and bring back some spoils.
Sure. There's no incentive
or get some kills.
Yeah, there's no incentive for guys anymore, and so I just say pick your battles, pick your war, and then when you're building your team, as it says here, like in team warfare, you got to pick the team, and you guys make sure you have to stay aligned with where you're going to war, because we're all at war to some degree. Okay, guys in the red pill space, we're at war with the gynocentric social order and everybody coming at us and telling us that we're wrong and that we're misogynist. So we are at war, even though we don't want to be at war. We're at war with another ideology or another group of people that think we're saying wrong, right? So pick your battles, pick your team. Are you ready to be in a foxhole with them? These are all things you have to understand before you even go to war.
That's the perfect segue to the next segment we're going to go to, which is the Gray Man Protocol. Which, since we are in 5th generation warfare, and of course the 33 strategies do speak to this, but I do want to share a super chat real quick before you go, Glenn. Alex Patino, once again, I mean, we're talking about war, so here's some war horns, all right? Show me your war face. Come on, you guys. You ever see that meme where the guy shows his war face? This guy's a little 2-pound dog, and then the dog goes, shows his war face. Okay, Alex, $10. Thank you so much, everybody. This is definitely user supported, viewer supported. Please subscribe to everybody. We're broadcasting on all channels, our pirate signal. We are at broadcast depth, and we appreciate you listening. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance in the 5th generation warfare. Let me tell you why Marxism will never work. Worldwide, it's simple. Because we have different languages. Just speaking another language, you can talk about the same thing and still look at it differently. Yes, that is true. Now, let me get back to, we're going to talk about the Gray Man. Has anybody heard of the Gray Man Protocol? It comes from military, but it's actually applicable since we're living in a 5th generation warfare state, where we're bombarded, even in our corporations, by this woke mind virus that can cost you your livelihood at any moment or can put you into a Me Too lawsuit. These sort of things are risks that you must prepare for. I think the most valuable thing that was, and here we got another super chat, brother. Okay, you're going to get a good one this time, a $5 super chat. We are going to have to hear from Elena.
Shame this horse.
Alex Petito. I have also accepted that the USA has the best military in the world. A nation cannot keep fighting men sit still without causing problems. Okay, Alex, for sure. Back to the Gray Man and this 5th generation warfare. Guys, there are bureaucracies set in place to make your life difficult and to extract resources from you on purpose in order to keep you distracted. That is the truth. When I share some of these 33 strategies awards, are some important things that you need to know before I get into the gray man stuff. And let me go ahead and get to that. Here we go. Here we go. I mean,
hey, real quick, Thor, this fifth generational warfare kind of reminds me a lot of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
It really does. And it's being done with information. And the end result is violence, whether administrative, canceling, or even actual violence is the end result. But it's done in a sparing way to keep everybody distracted from what actually is going on. Destroy from within. This is how it's done. This is the inner front. You don't even know you're in a war. You don't even know that you're getting information that can lead you down the path. This is done. I swear this is done even at the corporate level right now. I have gone through training that states this is ESG and DEI in nature, and literally tells you that you have unconscious biases that you are not aware of that makes you a lesser human being. And now I'm paraphrasing, but it makes you a lesser human being because of what your ancestors might have done. Therefore, you have to have somebody point out this unconscious bias so that you can make reparations or corrections in your current job as an ally. This is warfare. This is telling somebody with green eyes that you actually have brown eyes and making them believe it. Destroy from within. That's what it is. That's being used against you. Dominate while seeming to submit. Passive aggressive. There is reasons to do this.
Feminism. That's feminism right there.
It is. But there's reasons that you would use this strategy yourself as a dominant masculine presence to achieve your ends, to win the war, even if you have to lose a battle. Yep. So, what is this gray man thing? Let's go ahead and take a look. The gray man. So if you search the gray man, what is it? I mean, anybody that's military understands the 511 community, the tactical gear, all that stores. What is this gray man that I've heard of? Well, in context of being in a corporate environment, what you are is you're the guy that is not the absolute top performer, because that draws attention. And you can take this to any means in life. There are times where you need to be the top performer, the top competitor. Glenn will appreciate that, being a high level competitor and wanting that attention. But there are strategic times where you're going to want to be just above average. Why would I say something like that? Because in the gray man strategy, you're not drawing attention from powerful entities or administrative personnel that could cause harm in your life or could delay you on your mission to succeed and or achieve your goals or your mission parameters. It comes from the military. It's called the gray man. It's defined above. It's the guy who gets the job done. He never fails. He never wins openly and never gets gooned, finishing at the bottom half of the class on many runs, but he's always that guy that finishes, always countable, a good team player. There's times when you want to be that guy. Have you guys heard that sometimes what happens to the tip of the spear when you engage in battle? It's very common. Everybody knows what happens to the tip of the spear. You can be proud that you're the tip of the spear. But you know what happens to the tip of the spear in ancient times? It gets broke off. Pretty much broke off and shoved up your ass. And then the guys that get the job done get the job done. So there's a reason for that. They also called it cannon fodder.
Yep. This is literally built off of the number one rule in 48 Laws of Power is don't outshine the master.
Right. And this is where the brilliance comes into play. And I'll tell you how it can be used. If you're that guy, let's say in your career, and you're under the new rules of this 5th generation warfare, and you have to comply with the DEI and the ESG, do you want to push back against it, or do you want to leverage your skills into a spot where you do not need that job? They need you more than you need them. Instead of drawing attention to your disagreements with them, you might complete 70 to 80% of your performance goals, and then commit to them that you will slowly improve to the best of your ability. And then you show up early, you stay late. That's enough. Their eyes will shift off of you to the bottom 20% that there's a problem. They're going to cut with them. those complainers that are high performers, but you know what? They're just not team players because they're complaining about the direction and the values that the corporation or the military or whatever it is has set forth. You know, the nail that sticks out is going to get hammered. That's the principle of the gray man. When you go operational as the gray man and you're in country, it's survival mode. You fit in. You look just like everybody else. You're hard to pick out. Now, where you use this to your advantage, there are certain times when you're getting attention and it's the right kind of attention. You have to learn how to strategize for that. And I'm going to give you a clue that comes out of Sun Tzu's Art of War, which is one of the best things I ever learned. And then you're going to amplify. You're going to amplify your skills for that moment of time so that you gain favor. And you gain favor, you gain loyalty, and you gain value so that you can use this at a future time to leverage for your own success, whether it's to climb out, move to a different company, or have them offer you something because you're too damn valuable. What is that? Well, when you are weak, make sure you're showing strength. If you're having an issue at work or even in a relationship, do not show weakness, especially when you're weak and there's a problem. Make sure you're always showing strength. This is a barrier. It's a shield wall that you can raise that really assists you because people stop looking. Oh, he's not weak, man. There are plenty of sharks out there in every aspect of life. If they sense weakness, you guys ever been in a locker room and somebody senses a hair's out of place on AJ's beard? Guess what? That's blood in the water. AJ, you better either take it really well or you better get that hair back in place on your beard. So what I'm saying is here, when you are weak, show strength. This comes from Sun Tzu. The next part is when you are strong, show weakness to the enemy so that he is drawn into unprepared action. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in boxing, they call that a rope-a-dope, don't they?
Exactly. I love you guys, man. This is why you're all Drakars.
It's kind of like Justin kind of went over this when I was doing the boot camp a couple weeks ago, where it's like show empathy, like learn how to empathize with them. That way they come to you a lot easier.
And learning how to recognize emotions, a big part of fifth generation warfare. I would recommend you read the book Propaganda by Edward Bernays and understand that emotions are being thrown at you all the time, even when you don't recognize it. And that's why
it's one of the reasons why I like How to Win Friends and Influence People over 48 Laws of Power, because you learn the sort of the art of diplomacy and you get more, you catch more,
bees with honey.
Yeah, bees with honey. Yeah, same thing, right?
And the reason I mentioned the gray man is because in fifth generation warfare, it's better to be invisible many times and then strike while the iron's hot. You've heard that before, right? One of the best quotes out of the 33 strategies of wars is lose battles, but win the war. It's the grand strategy. It's the ability to zoom out when in doubt. When in doubt, zoom out. Be able to zoom out. And guys, don't be afraid to walk away. We talked about this on Rule Zero. If you could prepare yourself,
Rejection.
the best strategies is to save 3 months worth of salary by the time you're 25. By the time you're 30, you better have 6 months worth of salary in. By the time you're 40, have a year. And it's untouchable. If you can develop that discipline, being the gray man or being the man out front when the time is right, you will be well served for the rest of your life. What do you guys have to say about that?
Well, the gray man strategy is basically what I'm doing with my content. You know, I'm not doing anything so bombastic and try hard that I have to answer, 5 years from now, hey, you said this, you said that. But at the same time, I'm providing enough. Yeah, I'm providing enough value where people actually want to listen. So I think it's good in different areas of your life, especially maybe in work. Like you can enter a workspace where you are the most competent guy. Right. And you may realize like, hey, everyone here is like lazy and you can't just go in there guns blazing, making everyone look lazy. You have to be like middle of the road. And whenever you have a chance to show your competence, show it, but don't go too hard, too fast, so it's like don't outshine the master, like Mike Steele was saying too. So, just got to be careful.
One thing too is if you make yourself out to be too perfect, then now everyone's just looking for any kind of chink in the armor to shut you down and show why you're. But if you're like, I'm a human, we're all flawed. People actually get behind that more. Yeah, they get behind that more.
Yeah.
And I had to learn this the hard way. Back at my previous job before I got here to Las Vegas, I was kind of like a hamster or a chihuahua. Like if you guys had met me back in 2015, you would not have recognized me. You probably would have hated my guts, honestly. But now, with the help of people like Thor and Glenn and MLD and Wraith, I'm a lot more calm now. Even when things are exploding all around me, I'm just kind of like sitting there being like, okay, well, let's wait for the explosion to die down. And then when there's a little fire, we'll just stroll in with a fire extinguisher and just go, and we're done. There. See how easy that was, guys? Everybody's fine. Just that kind of.
If you can stay calm under pressure, you'll do a better job too. Because you'll be able to think through the problem as opposed to just reacting. And I had to learn that. It took me a while to get there.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because I'm sure AJ knows about this. When you're a nuke and you have to respond to a casualty, there's casualties that you have 10 seconds to respond to. You'll be chilling, half asleep, a little coffee in front of the plant. You have 10 seconds to respond to it, and the whole watch team, at least on a carrier, it's 60 people waiting for you to take your actions. And in those 10 seconds, you realize who they look up to for when shit goes down. And it's so interesting, that dynamic, because you'll have an officer that thinks he's the shit and, is like, all this and that. You'll have guys that are under you that think that they're smarter than you. You'll have people that really rely on you and are waiting for you to do the right thing. And then in those 10 seconds, everyone becomes who they really are. And it's really interesting to see the situations where you're like, wait, you were an asshole to me last week, but now you're asking me for recommendations. Like this whole facade of people, their positions in life and all that stuff, even the big YouTubers that make channels, they crumble when they even get a little bit of criticism. And you see it in jobs, you see it in content creation, you see it with women too. Like there are men that pose themselves as super hyper masculine dudes that have their woman on lock, right? But the minute their woman leaves them or does something to embarrass them, they crumble and divorce and all that stuff. So it's very interesting when the cards are down, who steps up, who folds, and who carries the team forward. Very interesting.
Yeah, like what was that guy with the bicolored beard? I forget his name.
Oh yeah. Jack Murphy.
Yeah, Jack Murphy. There you go.
Wait a minute. Bicolored.
Not
beard?
Thor. Not Thor.
No.
That guy absolutely ruined this fucking skunk beard look.
No, you guys are bringing it back. You guys got to bring it back.
Oh,
dude, I refuse. I'll die.
There is a secret to this right here, gentlemen. And it is not that skunk beard look. There to get this is absolutely a total secret. I'll share it if you guys really want, but this is really hard to get. But it's actually really easy. You guys want to know how to get it? Just a little pinch of Vagisil right there every night. Good to go.
Vagisil.
Dyes it right there. Well, in the pinch, you can use Monostat 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a savage. Moving on.
Dude, are you getting that stuff fresh out of the tube, or you getting it used from somewhere else?
Oh, now come on now. I'm a savage. You know how I get it. That's back to Jack Murphy, the lumber cuck, huh? Yeah. He did ruin the skunk beard look a little bit, Do you know how hard it is?
And it's very
eggs like that?
Haven't seen that guy in a while.
Like
good.
Like Paul was saying, like when you have these hyper masculine coaches and all these people that people look up to, and you're kind of like, there's something amiss here, because this guy's a definition of masculinity, or maybe he's the best with the ladies, or maybe he's the richest guy. But then every day you hear about a new celebrity, a new rich guy, a new masculine content creator do something completely stupid, out of frame. Some of them even like illegal. Sleep with men, and you're just like, what happened? And it's just like, yeah, dude, you got tricked into thinking some person on the internet was not who they are, So you got, vet your gurus, but also realize that, this stuff, you can't take it so seriously.
One thing that's really problematic with guys that make themselves out to be too fucking perfect, right? Like, like Andrew Tate, for instance.
I was just about to say that.
Yep.
Like guys like Andrew Tate.
Gray man failure.
They give these guys, the average guy watching this stuff, these impossible standards to reach that 99% of the dudes out there aren't going to reach that status of limousine riding, jet flying, fucking Ric Flair bullshit.
Bugatti driving doesn't
right.
matter.
So these guys have these impossible like standards that they to try to live up to, and it's like, no, dude, you know, you ain't shit, and it's okay. You know, it's okay. You know, you could be
that helped me so much in life.
All right.
That was the realization I had after the boot camp was, hey, I don't need to live Justin's lifestyle. My lifestyle is actually pretty freaking good.
Yours.
Like top 10, top 20%. And I'm like, I'm actually living amazing. It's been sold as mediocrity, but it's not.
No, that's why I love to tell guys. Hey,
exactly.
I tell guys, hey, man, if you're just not overweight, you're already in the top 25% of guys. Like, fucking relax. You know,
the gray man protocol, when it's done by this philosophy out of The Prince by Nico Machiavelli, is probably the absolute best strategy that the majority of men could use to achieve their masculine dominance in this life and project what they need to when they need to get that wonderful life and then live the dream just like AJ. And here's the quote: the lion cannot defend himself against snares, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. Therefore, it is necessary to be a fox to discover the snares, and a lion to terrify the wolves. That is a good description for me philosophically of the gray man protocol. And it is not being Andrew Tate. That's putting yourself at the tip of the spear. You know what happens at the tip of the spear?
It's broken off.
It gets blunted and broken and bent.
Yeah, by the Romanian government. And false allegations.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter whether they're false or not. You guys realize that is the perception. If it's wide enough, it doesn't actually matter, because it doesn't matter whether the lamb is young. It's still a sacrificial lamb. It matters that it gets sacrificed.
It ruins the reputation.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, a lot of guys, when they unplug,
the scapegoat for a reason.
Yeah, a lot of guys, when they unplug, they want to become red pill evangelists and tell everyone, their friends, their boss, they're like, don't do that, you know. And then, I made a video that to practice, like, be private with your womanizing, be private with your red pill content, all this stuff you watch online. Just be private with it, because you don't know who's watching here, listening to you. You don't know what's going on. And I even called the guy out because he posted a picture of a girl's face on Twitter that he had slept with.
Oh, I saw that, dude.
You are a one-way ticket to getting in trouble. You know, like, this is the stupidest thing you can do as a young man. And I'm like, dude, go sow your wild oats, have fun, but please, out of respect for her and a respect for yourself and your future, you know, please. And that's the thing. Like, guys get a little bit of attention from women. Guys get a position at work. Guys watch a couple red pill videos, and all of a sudden they got to tell the world. I'm like, no, you have to implement gray man theory, right? Because if you don't, you're going to be constantly fighting people who you shouldn't have been fighting in the first place, right? And then life will just get harder and harder and harder. And just be careful whose toes you're stepping on, right? When I go to salsa night, I know there's another guy there that uses salsa night to get women. I know that the DJ, he's the contextual alpha, right? So I don't go in there and compete for women. I just like, okay, I got to be careful and not put myself out there as the guy that's there for women, which usually I'm not. I usually like to actually enjoy it. But you just, in every context, be careful of stepping on people's toes. Try to blend in as much as you can. And when your number is called, right, whether in an emergency or you got a beautiful girl that is into you, step up, right? But, like, don't come in with that mentality that everything you do has to be loud and boisterous and bombastic, or else you'll end up with litigation. Your privacy is destroyed. People will hate you that you don't even know, and then you'll end up going crazy, you know, like a lot of people do.
Yeah, for sure. I know I can appreciate what you're saying right there. And Andrew Tate's a good example of an anti-gray man. You're always under that scrutiny. And what you mentioned, she's going to do that too. She's going to put herself in that position. That doesn't go away. And
she better be careful.
If she has enough resources to pay it off, you can survive it. You can do fine. But most of us don't. And most of us can be far more strategic and live a far greater life in reality. Part of living a good life is having some privacy to actually live the dream. If you're under that scrutiny, that is very different. And to have, you know, I'm not going to slam Pearl, but Pearl might have a little histrionic there, you know, for the need of attention. Some of the influencers do. One thing I appreciate about this group right here, you notice that this group protects the people in their life. If you are looking at red pill influencers and influencers that are bringing out their significant others and their parents and shit like that, I would be very cautious with what they're telling you, because they're living on the tip of the spear. And not only are they doing that, they're bringing people that are innocents out to the tip of the spear.
That's one of the reasons why I never share Nurse Chick's face to the public. You know, I always put the hard eyes emoji. That's how she looks anyway, though, because she's got that genuine desire. But
I mean, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I did share private information when I did the GoFundMe. When my wife's neck was broken and turned into a quadriplegic that's severely disabled. But that has ended since. And but it was important for people in the family to know. And so by extension, those that know my actual name or use RP Thor could see that. But in the context it wasn't putting her out there on the tip of the spear, so to speak. So it was a tragic situation that people could feel good about and maybe help. So it was a little bit different. So there is some understanding sometimes when that happens. But in general practice, to start a podcast and put my significant other into that mix, I've seen it done successfully when one of the significant others of the family members are left anonymous, no face, speak only. I could see that working, but every other one, it is very precarious, very, very precarious. So what do you guys think about that? I mean, I know you protect the people.
Well, one thing too, I've learned from Ryan. That's one of the things too. Like one of the blessings of being on Rule Zero is being able to sit under the learning tree of some of these guys that have gone, you know, before, like you, Thor. And man, I learned a lot from like everybody on the panel. And one of the things I learned from Ryan is sort of what he preaches about what happened to Athel K. You know, Athel K brought his girl in on his brand, and it ruined his brand.
I know. I feel he's a good dude too. That was terrible. Yeah.
So don't want to.
I mean, look at Gen Z. Look at Gen Z these days. Look at Gen Z these days, where they think that the only way people will love them and they'll get girls is by going viral and having lots of followers, right? And you realize as I got older, I was starting to think like, hey, if I'm not completely clouded, I'll never get the girls I want. But when I started dating, I realized like this is so nice. No one knows who I am. If a girl rejects me in public, no one cares. If I go on a date and I walk a girl back to my apartment, yeah, my neighbor might start having suspicions, but no one cares. My life is so private. I'm enjoying life the way this is, because when you have clout, you're doing stuff. First off, you got to keep entertaining your people, the people that you entertain. You have to keep doing crazier things. And is there any meaning in that? There's no meaning in that. Eventually, you're gonna lose meaning in your life because you're a dancing monkey for people, unless you actually provide value like we're doing. And then on top of that, every mistake that you make it becomes more and more public as you gain more and more notoriety. Now, there's some people that are built for that, you know. But are you really? Do you really think that? Do you really want to live your life where you have to, your family? You're worried about your family. You're worried about this, and that. Losing your job if you're not, living off online only. Like there's so many things to take into consideration before you just say, hey, I'm going to act a complete fool in front of everyone. And also you can embarrass the people you love, like your mom, your dad, your brother, your girlfriend, your wife. You don't want to do that. You want to live a more dignified life. And if you're going to do things like womanize and all that stuff, it is so much nicer when you do it privately, quietly in a little corner bar or a little wine bar or a little coffee shop. And you take her home and you enjoy her, and then she says thank you, you have a good day, and you move on with your life, and that's so much better than having to create a whole podcast or going viral on Instagram just to meet women, because now your love life and your sex life is public, and that's horrible.
Nuke, Elena says, so true.
Shame this horse.
I know I'm gonna run that in.
Shame this horse.
You gotta hear that again.
Shame this horse. Shame this horse.
Elena,
one of the problems is that so many guys in this space, they want the attention because they think it's the attention that's going to bring women to them. They're not working on them. They're out there creating this facade of who they think that is going to attract these women. And, if I can't be my authentic self and a woman isn't attracted to my authentic self, I don't want her.
Mm-hmm.
and they start looking at like Andrew Tate, some of these other guys, and they say, I want to be famous. I don't care to be famous. It doesn't
No, you don't.
Okay.
That is not a good goal.
No, because when you're famous, people want to put you under a microscope. All right. Now, can my life sustain being looked at under a microscope? I think so. But the other side is I don't put myself so that I have to be in that position either. Okay. Like I said, I come in here and I enjoy this. I do this with you guys, but my life is pretty private.
Have any of you guys got recognized yet from YouTubing?
No,
not yet.
I'm not a YouTuber.
Wait. You are now.
You're on YouTube literally right now.
with my 0 subscribers and my 0 uploads. And
No,
I don't know how it is.
Your face on the Dragon Ship.
I've experienced 2 recognitions in airports, and when I went and took the missus for a weekend in Palm Springs to explore some therapies, I was recognized randomly on the street twice, 35 miles apart. One at an outlet and one at a resort. It's a strange feeling. These were fans that were cool, but it does make you pause back a little bit. Now, it was very good interactions. I love the fans here and I love everybody here. And these were fans, but I was stunned because this is very small, but the information is appreciated. And so that kind of makes me a little more willing to put myself out there because I could see the benefits that they had derived from some of this stuff and the comments they made. Happy about the guys that are on the panel. I will have to tell you that. Even one comment, I like that you bring new people on and get their perspective, which we do. So that's good to hear, but don't be surprised, guys, if you do end up getting recognized. The reach is bigger. We got 54 people in the chat right now, but we got 31 likes. Please, guys, please. For the love of God, for the God amongst men, please hit the like button.
Liking is alpha, guys.
Liking is a masculine presence.
The biggest thing is, I don't think it's like the guys I'm working with now. I'm telling them, you need to start thinking strategic, and you need to start finding tactics that are going to get you successful for your strategic view and strategic plan for yourself. All right. But I constantly urge them, find what makes you happy. And not fall into the trap of I need to be famous, and that's the thing. Everybody most young people these days, they want their 15 minutes of fame. They want to be that star. Well, being that star, what they don't understand is most of them are falling stars. So, there's going to be a downside to going out there and being someone you're not truly you, and and I think people that are authentic, they understand that they want certain things private and they protect it. I don't talk about my sex life on these shows. I don't talk about the women that I've been with or anything like that. And in my group, I don't allow them to post that stuff. I don't want to know who you're with. I don't want to see a crotch shot of your girlfriend or any of that stuff.
You could do that on the Dragons, though.
Right. You can do it on the Dragons, but the thing is, the reason I tell them that is because I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in how you're developing as a man. And if you want to tell me, hey, I got laid last night, it's great. I don't care. That's not, if I'm not going to judge you by the number of women you sleep with, I'm going to judge you by the actions that you take and how you're successful in life.
And that's why you're actually
no one really cares about
with
anyone's body count.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we're going to get to the spot now where, we could go on with this for a very long time. You guys are fantastic. We're happy to have Mike Steele here. I'd like to do a quick roundtable, but I do want to, in the spirit of things, is direct everybody to everyone's YouTube. Go ahead and, share, do all those sort of things. And I want to offer something to everybody before I do the roundtable in the spirit of the topic today. And since this is YouTube, I have to be very careful with this, but just take a look, guys. if let me hit the right layout here and share this. If you guys go to becomedurable.com, this is an hour-long video presentation that I made for the Men's Empowerment Network. Wraith was instrumental in helping me with this, but since we're talking about being prepared, is probably one of the best mottos you can have, and talking about warfare and personal safety and why you might consider things, you can take a look at this free video. It is a private video, so it's not violating anybody's algorithm, but you can certainly go in and you can watch this video. I just wanted to offer that to everybody for free. And remember that I am having a sale right now on becomedurable.com. All of the guys here are affiliates. They can post their affiliate link and you can choose whichever one of them that you support, and they will receive some proceeds from these 9 hours of lectures that I will offer to you guys. These are lectures, slides, packages. You saw the ad earlier. A lot of important information if you want to become a lineman, if you want to join the Dragons membership. What I'm doing for November is I'm offering 60% off all of this. Basically, every video lecture that's between 1 and 3 hours in length is now $88.21. And you can get 15% off by using the code Black Friday Thor. Please jump on there. I can see Come On Man podcast. He's going to throw it in the chat. His link. Go on there, check out something. You can also get a free chapter of my book, which is A Dominant Masculine Presence. And the chapter is on the 7 skills of a dominant masculine presence. Something you can immediately use. It's free. Use the code free DMP. You don't have to pay for that. You can just enjoy it. Now, AJ says he falls asleep when he listens to my voice. So, I don't know.
That was me.
That wasn't me.
No, because
That was
you're
Mike
so
Steele.
relaxing.
I don't know why he would be doing that to my voice unless I sound like his dad or something. But
no, it's just so soothing. And
but please use these. Mike, you have an affiliate link, posted in the chat. Nuke has an affiliate link, posted in the chat. If you guys feel like supporting them by jumping over there and making a purchase, you support them. Also, the DragonShip is available on Redbubble. There's plenty of merch there. Also, Paul sells merch, Rule Zero merch. There's DragonShip merch, and I believe that it is November where you get 20% off everything in Redbubble. Now, Paul's store is a little different, so you'll have to go there and pick him up on Teespring. But I just wanted to cover that stuff briefly, and then we'll get going on a roundtable here, guys. Final thoughts on the art of war and all of that, and their strategies. And how you guys felt about that. Let's start with Wraith, then we'll climb it up. Okay.
Well, I'm going to start with that video. That was one of the best, funnest videos we've ever done.
Yeah, thank you, man. That was boy. I put some time in it. The production value was good.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good information there, guys. We talked for almost 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you put any of it out? So I mean, it was really a good time. And ex-firearm instructor, and Thor has a lot of history with weapons and stuff like that. And we didn't just talk about guns either. There was other things that were in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we said sword stuff and all that stuff in there. But
yeah,
great video. I enjoyed doing it. And I think the guys that were in the webinar when we did it enjoyed the webinar. I got more comments on that than I did talking about how to develop frames. So it was good. As far as the gray man concept and the art of war, you have to live your life strategically and tactically. It's the only way that you're going to be able to manage everything that's coming at you and everything that you want to put out there. And if you're not doing that, you don't have an understanding of, how you can operate within society. And there are a lot of different ways. And it also gives you an opportunity to evaluate yourself and the frame that you want and those kind of things. So we talk a lot about, communications, the art, the laws of power and all that stuff. It all comes down to how do you manage human nature and the people that you come into contact with. If you're not doing that, you're under their will. You're operating under their premise, not yours. Okay, now you can make those, you can combine those so that you can have a friend or something like that. But the reality is it starts with you. And if you're not starting with you, you already lost the war. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. If you want to, contact me, Wraith_Detour, everywhere. Telegram, Facebook, Instagram, and Yahoo Mail. So
yeah, guys, take Wraith up on it. He answers everything. So if you're interested, reach out to Wraith. Mike Steele, newest member. What's your final thoughts? Where can we find you? You have a YouTube. You're going to share one of these days. You also have an affiliate link posted in the chat, and see what you got going. Welcome aboard as a Drakkar, and we're going to see you again. Where are you from? What are you about? And where can people get a hold of you?
My IG's down there in the corner. That's where I spend most of my time. Lots of pictures with guys like this, sometimes pictures of food, because that's what you do on IG. If I may, Thor, as part of my parting thought, may I share something on the screen?
Yeah, go ahead. Post it in the private chat. If you can't hit the share, let me stop sharing mine, and then you can you should be able to hit the present.
1 second.
If you don't have the present, you got to put it in the private, and I share it for you. Okay. Oh, here it is. And let me add the stage.
All right, so guys, part of my parting thought is, guys, I know it's not Memorial Day, it's Veterans Day weekend, but this is my grandfather, Leslie Steele. This man landed on Normandy Beach on D-Day and lived. And then he came home and knocked up my grandma.
My man.
Nice.
He killed Nazis and made babies. And he died at age, I believe it was 93 or 94, of pancreatic cancer. So I was fortunate enough to have him in my life. But what I'm going to say to any young men watching right now is, if you do not have an older man who has, let's say, has seen some shit, go looking for one. Go to where you think like a bunch of old dudes gather, like what is it, like the stag clubs or
VFW.
Yeah, VFW, places like that where old men gather, and just go in, grab a beer, and see what's up, and get a feel for the place, and see if they want to let you swing by from time to time. Maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a dude at church, something, because what Thor was saying earlier, these men are dying.
Yep.
And eventually they will be no more, and we will not have them around to speak with. And an interview, a recording, a video, it doesn't cut it when you can talk to a man who has been to the Pacific, who has been to the Battle of the Bulge, who has literally landed on Normandy Beach, asking them questions and seeing them tell you their stories. There's no substitute for that. And then you can then take that with you. And so that is my recommendation to all young men watching today, is find a mentor like that.
Excellent. Appreciate it, Mike. We'll see you on the Dragons meeting this upcoming Tuesday as well. It's going to be pretty exciting. We're going to have AJ presenting some skilled trades for us, and we'll have a great discussion. And just to kind of preview the Dragons membership for December, we are doing a complete seminar and breakdown on the use of AI for language and art by our British Viking son, Elliot. It should be really good. So don't miss that on the Dragons. That is a membership, guys, and you can find that on any of these guys' affiliates. They are all affiliates and can get you signed up for that. AJ, give us your thoughts.
One thought I did have about the gray man is a phenomenon that I'm kind of seeing nowadays kind of become more popular. It's like the counterculture on the other side for gray man, where they're saying they'll call it like quiet quitting. If you're just doing what you need to do, blend in, get the job done, they call that quiet quitting now. So it's like trying to get more out of you while still paying you for less.
I wouldn't call that gray man strategy. That's quiet quitting because the gray man strategy, remember, it's blending in. They don't know. But if you're quiet quitting, they know.
Well, what I'm saying is that you could be doing everything gray man. They could perceive it as quiet quitting is what I'm trying to say.
Then you're not doing your job good enough. You need to do just enough so they think you are just above average.
Fair enough.
Right? That's the concept of the gray man protocol. enough to where they look the other way and they're happy with what you're doing. You offer just enough value. And then when the time and the chips are down, you can offer more, and then that's remembered. And, but if you're always, let's just put it this way. If you operated at a physical capacity, AJ, at 115%, have you ever heard a guy says, I always give 110%? If you ran your car at 10% over red line for the entire tank of gas, stopped, put more gas in, and that's all you did was run it at 10% over red line. That's 110%. What happens to that car?
It goes boomy.
That happens to you too. So if you're telling your boss, I'm always 110%, man, he knows immediately you're a effing liar and that you're going to try to bullshit him. However, you can do a short burst at 110%. And you can do it if you do it strategically, makes it appear as though your capacity is far greater for that moment in time, or that you did it as a heroic effort.
It's straight out of 4-Hour Work Week, man.
Well, it's straight out of RP Thor's fucking playbook. How about my standard directives? Yeah. Be the gray man. No, I haven't read that one, but I've heard a summary, and it sounds really cool.
It's a good book.
Tim Ferriss, and I've listened to his podcast, so I kind of think I get his concepts. He's kind of a trailblazer.
Mm-hmm.
I want to work for 4 hours a week and play for 110.
Well, so that's the big concept in the book is that in any given day at work, you really are only working, maybe an hour of real work a day. The rest is just filled with busy work and bullshit and people like water cooler talk and
walking from cube to cube.
Stupid meetings that could have been emails. It's just a lot of it's a big waste of time just to justify being there for 8 hours.
Don't even get me started. We have meetings that's nothing. Me and my buddies call it grandstanding. It's so that everybody can do the mutual admiration society. Oh, you guys did so good on the project. Oh, yeah, we really appreciate you. No, I appreciate you more. No. Nobody could appreciate you as much as I appreciate you. But me, actually, as much work as I do, appreciate myself.
Circle jerk.
Yeah. Dude, I was recording one of these and listen to it, and this is standard fare. Anyway, back to AJ. Where can we find you?
I just posted up a link to all my socials, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I will be doing Tuesday night's presentation on the DragonShip, where I will be showing people how to properly detail. I kind of got a price breakdown of 3 tiers of just starting out. If you want to learn how to detail, or just be like a weekend warrior, and then to my setup, and then ultra whammadine professional. Hey, you want to quit your job? Here's about $5 to $8 grand you're gonna drop.
Yeah.
So I'll be going over that. I also have one of my my driver's side fender I have sitting in my studio living room, that I will be breaking out my 3-inch orbital, and I'll be doing a live demonstration on how to properly polish out paint.
Well, thank you, AJ. That is on the Dragons membership. We are on the DragonShip show. So it is a little bit different, but definitely related. Thank you, AJ. My brother, I have a VP spot open. I wonder if you had the patches. I don't know, man. You're going to have to prove yourself. Paul.
I'm going to get jumped into the gang.
It is a 1%er.
So I will say this. So I read The Art of War. I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. It's such a classic book. It really stresses the importance of being strategic, and you can use that concept in all areas of your life, including dating and relationships. If you're more strategic with dating and relationships, you're actually going to probably be more successful, So, and as you can see, I'm a hypergamy strategist now. You see,
fantastic.
That's my new title. So anyway, the edits came back from my editor on my book. It's all on everything I wish I knew when I was 18. So I'm going to go through all those edits tomorrow, hoping to get the book out by Christmas, but just looking at all the work that, Thor has put into his book and what Ryan's doing right now for his upcoming book. I'm like, Jesus, that might be a little ambitious. So we'll see if that happens.
You'll do fine. It's worth it, but it is a struggle, but it's worth it.
It's crazy. I've been promoting the entire month of November, my Practical Law of Attraction course. And so people can get that for 30% off with code Thankful2023. I'm going to drop that in the chat. I'm doing a live series. It's going to take me a while to do it, but it's on the science of getting rich, So I'm doing one chapter every couple of episodes, I'm going to drop a chapter and talk about the key concepts in each chapter, which it's a classic law of attraction book. And then otherwise, I guess tune in Monday. My guest is King Offie. You guys may have heard of him. He's written like 65 books or something like that. He's the heavyweight book champion of the Manosphere.
Ask him who his uncle is.
Okay, I will. All right. So tune into that.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you, man. Lots of good
man.
support. Nuclear Cadillo. Definitely one of our Drakars. We got to look at some patches there for you. Where can we find you? What are your final thoughts? And what do you got going on?
Yeah, so you guys can find me so you guys can find me on YouTube, Galileo Nuclear, obviously, and then Twitter right here. You can find me on Twitter, Causing Trouble and Havoc on Twitter. If anyone wants one-on-one coaching, nucleargalileo@gmail.com, and we can set up a time. We can talk video call. We can talk. Other than that, my final thoughts would be practice extreme pragmatism in certain areas of your life. For this dating stuff, for this woman stuff, everyone wants her emotions, right? Because emotions gets them paid, right? If someone pisses you off and tells you all women suck, and then you're throwing money at their podcast or at their whatever product, does that solve anything? Does that get you any closer to satisfaction with the opposite sex? Not really, right? So use the art of war, but not the book itself, but like the thinking behind art of war is you have to win, right? And in order to win, you have to, all emotion has to leave until it is appropriate, right? But be extremely pragmatic about your dating life, about everything. And then emotion does have a place, but you being mad at women is an emotion, and it's not conducive to winning. You being mad at your boss, you being mad at your family, these are all emotions. They have their place. But in order to solve lots of problems, you might need to practice extreme pragmatism. And the art of war is a good starting point on how to think about life going forward and your problems. So that's my final thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Well, you're much appreciated member of this team. And I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to take us out. Guys, you know where to find me. Check out my November sale on my Gumroad, redpillthor.gumroad.com. You guys, it's well worth it. You got 9 hours of content. And I will mention this briefly. Game 9000, the replay is available. If you know what it is, it's only available behind the paywall, and it's worth every penny. Guys, I'm going to take you out today with something that Nuke made for us, and I hope you appreciate it. Until next time. Hey, and by the way, everybody in the chat today, we had kind of an unusual amount of folks watching in, and they stuck with us for the whole time nearly, and much appreciated. Skull Brothers. The Vikings did raise the shield wall today, and we'll see you next time.